Welcome to my presentation about 3D attentional GAN for text-to-voxel generation. I am Seung-woo, a researcher of this research. I want to start this presentation talking briefly what text-to-voxel generation is. Among a lot of deep learning tasks, image generation such as deepfake is one of popular tasks. Conditional image generation AI is an AI that can create image by given condition. If text embedding is given as condition, we call it text-to-image generation. By the way, voxel is a unit of 3D objects corresponding to pixels in 2D. So, voxel generation is about creating 3D objects, and text-to-voxel generation is about creating 3D objects by analyzing the text. In this research, I used attentional GAN, which is a successful text-to-image generation model, to text-to-voxel generation. There are three purposes in this research. First is to find if it is possible for attentional GAN to create 3D objects. Second is to evaluate the efficiency of attention in voxel generation. Third is to solve the memory size problem of attentional GAN derived from large gradients. Before we talk about 3D attentional GAN, let's talk about related works. Generative adversarial networks, or GAN, is a deep learning model that can create image by using the concept of competition. Discriminator is an AI that can distinguish real images from fake images created by generator. Generator's goal is to deceive discriminator by creating realistic image. With these standards, generative adversarial networks can be trained with loss functions. Attentional generative network is text-to-image generation model using RNN and GAN. As I mentioned before, the text embedding or sentence embedding goes into the input of attentional GAN. The uniquity of attentional GAN is that it gets the attention result of word embedding and hidden state vector of CNN as an input. The researchers found that attention works well on image generation. Layer freeze is a technique used in neural network. By freezing some of the layer, we can fix the layer, and we can only train few layers. By not calculating the gradient and considering them to 0, we can freeze the layer. Bottleneck layer is a technique used in convolution neural network. Using one-by-one convolution layer, we can decrease the channels of tensors. The decreased channel tensor goes into the next CNN so that the amount of computation can be decreased while the performance doesn't decrease largely. So, now we talked about the related work, so let's talk about my work, which is 3D attentional GAN. My hypothesis was that attentional GAN could create voxel object by replacing 2D convolution layer to 3D convolution layer and 2D batch normalization to 3D batch normalization. However, there could exist some problem when we just change 2D to 3D. If we change 2D to 3D, all the layers dimensions will be 3 out of 2 squared, and so is the memory size. To handle this problem, I used layer freeze and bottleneck layer. There are 3 stages in 3D attentional GAN, and it is similar to the stack GAN, which is another text-to-image generation. I couldn't explain it because of time. When training each layer, the previous layers are froze so that the only specific layers could be trained at once. So we can say that each layers are trained sequentially, not simultaneously. And in stage 2 and stage 3, there exist residual blocks. In front of residual blocks, I put bottleneck layer so that the amount of computation in residual blocks can be reduced. With this hypothesis, I did 3 experiments. First is to check the validation loss graph of 3D attentional GANs training and do the qualitative evaluation of 3D attentional GANs result to find if it is able for attentional GAN to create voxel. Second, I checked the attention map and compared the test loss of with and without attention so that we can check if attention works properly on voxel generation. Third, I checked the result of each stages divided to handle the memory size problem so that we can check if it is possible to divide it into 3 stages. So this result is a validation loss graph, and we can find that until 50th epoch, the loss have decreased. So we can say that in encoder training, we can use 3D CNN, and it is possible to analyze the voxel in training encoder. This is the qualitative result of 3D attentional GAN with diverse texts. In this picture, we can find that it created proper voxel with proper shape or color. However, there were some limitations that there was some bumpy surfaces and floating voxels. I think that have to be refined later on. This is the result of each stages. As the hypothesis, the stage 1 could create proper voxel with just simple shape and color. However, the stage 2 and stage 3 could refine the voxel's shape and color. It was fit to the hypothesis, so we can say that we can use the memory size problem solve technique. To sum up, 3D attentional GAN could create voxel, and in addition, we could use attention in voxel generation. However, there were some limitations in 3D attentional GAN that it created some floating voxels and bumpy surfaces. I think by using other CNN and GAN techniques, we can solve that problem in later research. So that's what all I prepared for today. Thank you for listening to my presentation.